I'm not a lawyer, okay? This is not legal advice. What I'm doing is I'm making you aware of what's out there and then suggesting that you go research for yourself so that you can cover your bases better. I am not teaching you copyright law. I am introducing you to the things that you need to consider while learning about copyright law. Okay. Due to not only copyright law, but our own moral standing of wanting to value other artists and their work, we're not going to arbitrarily use other people's work without their permission. Almost anything that we didn't directly produce ourselves is owned in some way by someone else, either the person who made it or the person who inherited or was given the copyright. Your default should be, if you didn't make it, don't use it. Or at least don't use it until you research it. So there are a lot of ways and methods to acquire assets that you didn't create that will still be helpful in your video. Let's go over like the biggest categories. Category number 1 is Creative Commons licensing. Now, because it's Creative Commons doesn't necessarily mean that it's automatically free game, but it does mean that it's usually free to use depending on the copyright licensing and the law. There are different Creative Commons requirements, depending on how the original creator decided to handle it. Let's just read the Creative Commons options really fast for you. An attribution license, you need to credit the original creator. Non-commercial use. You can use this for personal and sometimes social media content, but you cannot use it for anything that falls under a commercial definition. No derivatives. The work can only be used in its exact original form. Meaning, if you download a beat track, you can't modify it so it sounds really different before you put it in your song. A share-alike license requires that anything that is produced using this work also fall under the same Creative Commons licensing. Public domain CC0. The original creator has waived all copyright licensing, and this is completely free to use. Public domain. This is free for all. We all kind of technically legally own it together. And the reason for this is because the copyright licensing has now expired. Public domain CC0. Now, it is smart to legally assume that if it doesn't clearly have a Creative Commons license, that it is then copyrighted by the original creator, and you must get permission from the original creator. Stock footage and the production of generic assets for creative use is a whole industry on its own. There are stock subscription services where you can pay a monthly fee and use anything in the stock library for most purposes. There are stock websites where you can buy specific licensing according to your project for individual media pieces. The main thing that you need to consider is the scale of the project that you're working on. If it's nationally distributed on TV, that's a very different use case than if it's uploaded to a personal YouTube channel. And the copyright owner rightfully will require a much larger payment for the nationally distributed television rather than the personal YouTube channel. In fact, most of these stock subscription services, especially the music ones, have a pretty cheap personal use where you can post anything, where you can use any of their music on your social media. But if you're going to go commercial with it, then you need to pay more money per month for an expanded license. So the best practices, the things that I'm telling you to think about. Your first thought should be, if you didn't make it, don't use it, and verify the copyright. Consider the scale and nature of your work and ensure that whatever licensing you're getting for whatever stock footage you want to use is accurate to what the nature of the project is. If you're getting hired on with any kind of video production team, they should already have some solutions in place. And you should just use the assets that they provide you. When I worked for the ad agency, they worked with their legal team to find the right subscription service that had the right licensing so that we knew that we could pull anything from that website and we were covered for all of our usage. So when I was going to find sound effects or good music or a stock image, I would just go to our subscription services because I knew we were covered. Same thing when I did reality TV. Every single scene needed a new song. We had 10 episodes, 45 minutes each, and every 2 or 3 minutes, we needed a new song to play. We had hundreds of songs. And to find hundreds of good songs, you need a pool of thousands of tracks to listen to find the ones that actually fit the vibe. Well, it turns out there is what I can only assume to be is an extremely expensive stock music licensing subscription service specifically designed to provide media that meets all of the copyright licensing requirements for national television. So, my first couple of days on the job, I started editing a scene and I really needed music. I did not go to YouTube, find a song that I liked, and put it into the scene. No. I went to my producer and I asked the question, do you have licensed music that I can use? And they provided me with the login information for their production so that I could use their licensed music from the very beginning. Biggest takeaways. If you're working with a slightly bigger production team, rely on your producers to be able to access stock assets. They are responsible for thinking through all the legalities and all of the copyright issues and providing their team with the correct assets. If you are lacking a production team and you are kind of one-man banding this, default to not using it if you didn't make it. I highly recommend spending some time studying resources to better understand copyright law. Make sure that you consider the specific nature of the project that you're working on and what licensing you will need. And then when you find the stock that you want, either on a subscription service or paying individually, make sure that you pay for the proper licensing and that you keep those files safe so that you can prove that you have the right to use them. There's a lot of really good stuff out there, a lot of it for fairly cheap and a lot of it surprisingly for free. There are a lot of very charitable artists who do really good work and then they publish it to a Creative Commons license so that anybody else can use it for free. It's a very cool community and it makes our work a lot easier if you just know where to find it.